let's hit the local stuff. Round three, local stuff. So here in St. Charles County, we have got school board races coming up here very soon, just in the next few days. April 8th, we have school board races. Now, it's school board races have turned into culture war crap over the last few years. It's been sad. It's a way to attack the schools, a way to be. It's an arm of the defunding of schools that we've seen. That you get these conservative candidates in there who want to vilify teachers and say they're teaching CRT or that they're, you know, indoctrinating kids with trans whatever ideology, whatever they want to say is happening in the schools. It's bullshit. We all know it. But they get these school board candidates who want to tie up funds and resources and school board meetings with culture war crap. People who just don't have enough common sense to realize that, one, most of this shit isn't happening. There aren't any kids shitting in litter boxes in classrooms because they identify as cats. None of that. Thanks, Joe Rogan, for that little rumor. But yeah, none that stuff's not going on. So it's important as someone who's not just progressive or lefty or whatever, but someone who is a fan of just common sense and getting stuff done for our schools, that we know who the common sense candidates are.
Right.
There's an organization, St. Charles Families for Public Schools. They've done a great job of finding and sort of figuring out which candidates are going to be the most common sense candidates for these offices. And so they were great enough to have a list on their website. So I am going to show you that. So this is the website. You'll see that there. There's their URL for this specific page for the school board endorsements. But yeah, the election is April 8th. So all of you out in St. Charles, find out whether you have kids in school or not. It's important. Well, if you don't have kids, you might end up having kids there someday. You might end up having grandkids going to these schools. So we got to get good people in their place. So we've got they've got it broken down by school district, which is great. So we've got the St. Charles School District here. So we've got Daniel Hewitt and Tammy. You know what? I'm sorry, I got to read these, so I got to put my my cheaters on for this. Daniel Hewitt and Tammy McGrellis are running for their seats in St. Charles City. Fort Zumwalt, Jeff Marion and John Christopher. Francis Howell School District, Sarah Olkey and Amy Greider. Orchard Farm, Steve Goki, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, and Kenneth Bierman. And then finally in Wentzville School District, Julie Scott and Dr. Julie Scott and Dr. Jeremy Way. So these guys are the ones who are not going to come in and try to, talk about trans indoctrination or any of that garbage. They're going to come in and try to just make these schools better. Yeah, come out on the 8th. Show your support for these folks. It's important, guys. It really is. The school board elections are more important than they ever have been.
And the turnout's always so low.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, it was only like 7%. And last year, because we realized when we get people to show up, then we win because they have a solid core base of people that always show up to vote.
Right.
And if we don't turn out, they typically win. And last year I believe we got up to around 11 or 12% turnout just by hitting doors and engaging people.
Right.
And we won hands down, by a lot. It was like 64 or like 70-30. It was a crazy split.
Yeah, the thing about the turnout being so low, the thing about the turnout being so low is that every vote counts that much more. This isn't like a presidential election where you're one of 150,000 or a million people voting. You're one of just a couple, some of these districts probably just a couple of 2,000-3,000 people voting.
2,000 people, yeah.
Yeah, right. And so your vote really makes a difference. You turning out actually can win an election for one of these candidates and make sure that the schools are in safer, steadier hands than some zealot who wants to, I don't know, put the freaking 10 Commandments in your kid's classroom. Yeah. You know what I mean, or something like that. So,
or don't even support public schools. We have people Wentzville is my school district, and we have people running that were very loudly, vehemently, and proudly able to say, "Yeah, I support school choice." Like, ugh,
Yeah,
you have
like
no
you're
business being on a school board.
no, because you're
Yeah,
just saying I want you to take money away from my school. I want
yeah,
you to
yeah,
defund the school. So
yeah.
yeah, those people don't have any business being on a school board.